Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, Lore and Fray, and the upcoming the now released Jaw the Dragon. I was going to do more Rekieta retardations. I had committed myself to following along with Nick Rekieta's streams, talking more about what he's been doing, like happenings in his sphere, things that were going on. I dedicated myself to paying more attention to this guy, right? I was going to cover his content more closely and more adequately, talk about what's going on, right? Talk about his hypocrisy, his behavior, his downfall, his decline into irrelevancy, his alliances, people who have turned on him, like controversies, his lack of coverage of certain topics. Like specifically, I wanted to see how much he streams in a week, because this has been kind of bothering me for a while now, is how much does he work exactly? Because last time I saw him, he went on and on about how he's tired of covering legal topics all the time, and how he just wants to do the Friday show, and how people are ragging on him for not doing enough legal coverage, even though he does plenty. So I decided to take the time to okay, how much legal coverage is he actually doing? How much work is this guy putting in? How often does this guy go in front of a camera and talk about legal topics? And it's been 2 weeks since the last stream. Not only is this guy not talking about legal topics, this guy isn't on camera, period. Streaming is his career at this point, right? He should be at least streaming once a week, right? At the very least to maintain his audience, keep his Rumble contract happy, to keep his users engaged. He should be streaming regularly, right? It doesn't have to be every day, but he needs to have a set schedule. He needs to be doing this. He needs to be putting the effort in. He needs to be finding topics to talk about. There's more to being a streamer than just turning the camera on and talking about how you want to build a sex dungeon, right? But 2 weeks, and Rekieta has not streamed once, unless he's done something on locals, which I have not checked. I checked his YouTube channel and I checked his Rumble channel, and neither have any live streams. So it looks like Nick has gone dark, and I really wonder why. I really wonder if the backlash to that ridiculous the past couple of Friday streams has really gotten to him, because it really did feel like there was a bit of a bump in my Rekieta retardation content, when that happened, because it felt like a lot of people were calling him out on that, oh, Rekieta Law was never a legal channel. That was a big deal for me, because it's so obviously disingenuous. It's right there in his channel name, Rekieta Law. I've been seeing people talk about this, and what seems to be happening is that Rekieta, his brand, it relies on bringing people in based on this supposition that it is a legal channel, and then pivoting away towards something else, something he actually wants to talk about. Usually sex, usually drugs, usually degeneracy. He is reliant on the Rekieta Law name to bring people in, to get people to take him seriously, to give him respect, and he uses that attention, that positive viewpoint of his character, of his profession, of his background, of his the image he projects, in order to try and pretend what he says and what he does, what he covers is normal, right? And that's been the trend for the past 6 months, is him trying to pretend that talking about building sex dungeons, talking about sex toys with his wife, talking about this stuff openly, in a format that is easily accessible to his children, right? Talking about all this stuff, talking about this is somehow acceptable. That seems to be his goal here, is to just make this show, which gained popularity by covering serious topics, into a parody of itself, into talking about sex talk and degeneracy. And it seems to be a thing for him to try and get normal-ish people on there, and to just embarrass them with awkward questions, Kyle, Rittenhouse, that entire stream, which was a terrible interview, by the way. Nick was just asking him all this awkward questions about his legal situation, about his relationships, and about stuff like that, and it's all just very unprofessional and just embarrassing. Kyle was put off, right? And I totally understand why. I was totally 100% Team Kyle in that instance. Like I've seen like lots of women come on there talk about like their things and whatever they're interested in, like talking about their legal practices or what they're covering or whatever. And Rekieta like always awkwardly tries to make sex jokes, tries to like be overly sexual with them with his female guests, and more and more I just saw like a Kiwi Farms post about this, so this isn't my observation, but like I it seems like more and more some of these female guests, the ones that like actually take law seriously, people who aren't grifters, who aren't like ethos, people who are like actual practicing attorneys and actually take what they do seriously. Like these are the people that are distancing themselves from him, right? Like it seems to be like a trend in that like serious female attorneys are like not going onto his show and not talking to him anymore. And I can totally 100% see why. Because the way he talks to them is so embarrassing and so cringy and so like, oh, it's like it's like talking to like a perverted child, right? Like someone who's been like warped by like internet porn and just has no idea how to like interact with women at all, right? Like that's kind of what that's kind of how Nick comes off, is that like he really thinks that like normal people want to just talk about porn with him or like talk about like sexual topics, talk about like personal stuff, right? When for the vast majority of the population that isn't the case at all, right? Like most people are being put off by it. Even someone like me who I don't consider myself like prudish in any way. Like if anything, I guess I do lean more into the on the degenerate side, although I'm not like not like Nick in my mind. Maybe let's let the audience be the judge of that. Like even someone like me who was like rather accepting of like, oh yeah, his best friend is a swinger, yeah, whatever, who cares, right? Even someone like me kind of has over time gradually come around to this idea that like maybe what he's doing, what he's talking about, what he wants to do is not healthy for him or his family, right? Maybe this is self-destructive behavior. Like Nick Rekieta has made me more sexually conservative. Like this guy has okay, because you see how this behavior like can ruin lives, right? You see how this behavior can like influence someone to like just ruin their lives, and as a result of that you just don't you can't really respect it, right? Like, and it's not the people who are like distancing themselves from you that are the problem. It's you yourself, right? Like the issue with Nick is that like he himself will not take responsibility for what he's doing, what he's done, right? He will not admit he was ever wrong, right? Like in his mind that like he should be able to do drugs and like have sex and like have this like open monogamous relationship with his wife, but like it's just not working, and he just won't admit it. um I'll have to like keep an eye on what he does in the near future, because I don't know if he's like taking a vacation, like his millionth vacation this year. Like I don't know if he's like going to like reorganize himself, like start toning back the degeneracy a little bit. Like I think canceling the Friday streams in and of themselves will do wonder for him, but he's probably not going to do it, right? We'll have to see if that's what happens. But for me personally, I do think he's done, right? I do think he's done enough now where the vast majority of the audience has turned on him for good reason, and now he has built like a genuine like detractor community, like similar to DSP gaming. Like he is a lolcow, and he doesn't want to admit it. He's doing the same things that every other lolcow does. Doubling down on his degenerate behavior and trying to justify it, trying to explain why things have to be this way, why I have to act this way, why this is moral and right, and why there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing at all. That is Rekieta right now. That's what we're seeing here, and more people are starting to see this. Like Alyssa Clips has been doing great work. I'm sure there are other channels that have been covering this content. I've been covering it. Like I myself like intend to keep doing it more, but um I expect I really do think this. I do think things are going to get worse. It's going to be amazing seeing the collapse of this guy, his channel, his brand, and his personal life. It is going to be an incredible experience. And I am really curious to see just where, in the end, this guy ends up.